Hey, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to create a scarf for our character. So let's just hide that because we're just using it for reference. And take your body to its lowest subdivision and select just this neck piece here. Duplicate it. Now you could just unhide everything and go back to the higher subdivision, go to your copy and delete hidden. And also under geometry, delete higher. So now we just have this piece of kind of like ring around our neck. So just slowly start to shape it into a basic scarf shape. I want to stress that you don't need to be too careful right now about how exactly it lines up with the skin, and make sure that it's properly laying on top of the skin, because especially if you're going to pose this later, all that stuff's going to change. Okay, in the back it's going to be pinched where we have a little tie. That looks good to start with. Maybe from the side, if you have a bandana or something, try it around your neck and see what actually happens. If you tie it loosely enough that it could be pulled up over your face and nose, then when you kind of untie it, or take it down, it'll be kind of out to here. Okay, so I'm going to subdivide this, and I'm going to take smooth off. Do a polish by features, and turn smooth on, divide it some more. Hit it with some smooth, and let's actually divide it one more time and do a panel loops, just your default panel loops. There we go. So now we have some thickness. Now this thickness is really helpful for working on it, because now we can manipulate the edges of it a lot easier. But if you want to change the thickness of it later, you can always just select this front face, delete everything else, and do another panel loops on it. So don't worry too much about the thickness. It's just for to make it easier to work on. Usually around the rim right here, it's not going to be this neat edge. It's going to fold down onto itself and all kinds of stuff like that. So keep that in mind. You might want to hit it with a little inflate and model some of the inside of there. It all really depends on how much you're going to see. So I'll start with just this guy right here for reference. And to start, let's look at just the basic shapes. We got this kind of big triangle through here and this kind of recessed triangle. So we'll sculpt that in, and we're going to use the standard brush, which is my best friend when it comes to sculpting clothing. Turn off your symmetry. Okay, so we're kind of create that there. And you can use Alt to push it back and to also kind of create a flattening effect. If you put down a brush stroke and then run Alt over it, it'll flatten it out a little bit. Okay, so just start roughing in these forms. I'm looking at the basic forms I see and going with Alt. Remember, when you're doing these folds, the negative space is just as important as the positive space. So let's say I want to create this. Instead of just drawing this shape right here, I also want to be mindful of the recession that's happening around that fold. Okay. Keep in mind, as we're doing this scarf, took a few hours of fidgeting and tweaking and stuff. I'm trying to demonstrate it rather quickly in about 10 minutes. So we're not going to get the full level of detail, but I'm going to definitely show you how to create it. All the steps necessary anyway. The rest, just like with the body, it's going to be finessing. So you can see we're already starting to get some folds. Check it from the side. Keep working. So I see this kind of triangle thing here. If I want to emulate that, I'm going to kind of draw in a triangle and then go in with my Alt at a lower size and kind of carve that in there. And so this is all using standard brush at its default settings. Well, actually, I have lazy mouse turned on, but even without lazy mouse turned on, it's fine. Okay, so we have a rough shape here. I'm just going to continue on with the back of this because pretty much understand now how to create the front part. So in the back, we have all these folds going in, and if I turn on lazy mouse and put the lazy step down, turn my Z intensity down, that'll help me get rid of those little bumpy lines that we were getting before. So alternating with Alt. BS3 is the /3 brush, which is nice for putting in some little cuts. So now I'm going to create this little detail here in the back, and it's pretty easy. BIW, I think it is, insert sphere. So I'm going to insert that sphere right there, let it go, and then I'm going to insert another sphere down here for this little piece that's sticking out. And as I draw it, and then I draw it smaller, it kind of starts to turn into a little oval shape, which is exactly what I want. Normally it's annoying, but in this case, it's very helpful. And there's the other one right there. So I'm going to use the move tool and roughly just kind of line these guys up. Okay. Look at when you're doing this, look at the general shape here. Huge triangle right here, another triangle here, another triangle here. This cloth's actually wrapping around. So just like when you're sketching, drawing, you want to look at the major shapes when you're just kind of roughing these guys in. Okay. I'm going to get this guy kind of over here. I'm not sure why these two connected, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so we got these roughly positioned. We can always adjust it later, but check out here what we're going to do. So you can use the slash brush to cut in big shapes, and so the kind of the big shape I'm looking at here is that. And then I'm going to use clay buildup, and you can use clay buildup to subtract too, to just kind of rough in this form here, rough in this form here. roughen this guy. I could do the same thing with these. Just kind of roughen some forms, flatten out some forms, and go in with /3 and really create cloth-like shapes here. So there's a lot of detail work that can be done on this, but you could see for the most part fairly quickly we've created this scarf. And if you followed along this far, all you really have to do now is look at the reference and just keep refining. Thanks for watching. In the next lesson we'll do the cape.